Welcome to Headfirst and Horizontal, presented by Face Level, the world's premier show featuring human-powered sports experience with forward motion, headfirst and horizontal to gravity. Headfirst and Horizontal is a humorous conversation giving you a unique and entertaining glimpse at a different side of the Face Level sports athlete you only thought you knew. And now, your hosts, Josh Galt and Jusbyn Lockard.
Like, I mean, I have my judgmental side. Like, I think rollerblading is cheesy. See, there you go. You even said the same thing, you know?
But see, now you're comparing riverboarding to rollerblading.
No, I'm not.
You get that enough already.
Cannonball!
So you've been buried under like negative 27 degrees, tons of snow. How much snow do you have?
Sadly enough, I have 3 inches of ice and 2 inches of snow, which doesn't sound like that much.
Doesn't sound like anything.
No, it doesn't sound like anything. But it's negative, 10 degrees here. I'm in the south, and we get snow on the horizon. They're saying there's snow, and this whole place, the whole city shuts down. They shut down everything. The schools, the malls, everything shuts. We went into a state of emergency. The state of Tennessee had a federal, on the news, state of emergency. We're shutting it down.
Because it's so cold, or because of the 3 inches of snow? Because that's what they do in Portland. The 3 inches of snow shut everything down.
Oh no, FedEx stopped running.
Wow, yeah, that's serious then.
Now that was when I was like, okay, we got a problem here.
So you're planning on going riverboarding or kayaking this weekend, right?
That was the plan tomorrow, but it's just I think I'm gonna stick with skiing.
Oh, you wimp! Get out there and get in the water.
I'm bailing on the kayaking tomorrow because it's supposed to be raining at the same time. That would be miserable.
That would be bitter. I would not enjoy that whatsoever.
Yeah. Now, if it was sunny and cold, I mean, you got gloves and a dry top on, and
still, that water is so cold. Okay, so I went.
Over.
Huh?
Just don't fall over, and you won't get that ice cream headache. As long as you don't fall over, you're fine.
What are you, going kayaking in class 1? I mean, what that doesn't count. You're gonna get splashed in the face.
Yeah, splash in the face is okay, but it's once those ears hit the water and you get that shock. I mean, it's literally, it's like taking a Slurpee. You remember Slurpees from 7-Eleven?
Right.
And just chugging the whole thing and just going into immediate brain freeze.
Yeah. That's
what it feels like.
Yeah.
You've been in cold water.
I've been in very cold water. Yeah, me and Matt Kuntz in Montana, we got in a river during a blizzard. It was blowing 40 miles an hour, and the lake was frozen, and then the river comes out from right underneath the ice, and we jumped in right there. And within 20 seconds, I couldn't feel my face. I had a 7mm wetsuit underneath the dry suit.
Did you really?
So I couldn't feel the water. I couldn't feel anything. I was like Pillsbury Doughboy. But my face was I literally could not move my face within 20 seconds. I was just no.
But didn't you riverboard through a snow cave in Japan?
See, with that, that was totally different though, because that water was cold, but it was we riverboarded the whole stretch of the canyon, and it just happened that in certain places, on the corners where the sun didn't really hit during the day, then there would be these huge things of snow that the river had cleaned out underneath, but they hadn't totally melted yet. So, yeah.
But that wasn't cold.
It wasn't
not that bad.
Yeah, it wasn't any different really than the rest of the river.
Huh.
But when it's actually snowing, and the water is because water can't be colder than 32 degrees, but that freezing level icy water is just something. Oh, it's terrible. I swear I'll never do that again.
I had a kayak one time that had a crack in it, and I took it in the Smoky Mountains, and I got in the water, and it was so cold, all the seams busted on it. It broke the patch that I had put on it.
Yeah.
Completely froze and snapped, and I get out in the middle of the water, and the son of a bitch started sinking. I'm the worst place that happened. I'm like, oh my, and then of course you get the ice cream headache because it hits your butt, and all of a sudden it's hitting your hips, and I'm like, oh! And Alex is looking at me just gut laughing. I'm like, not funny. The dog's coming.
Oh no.
Everybody's
Okay.
asleep.
The
I
dog's
swear.
lonely. Jay,
I won't.
take
I
care
won't
of
do that to you. I won't do that to you, Josh. I know the secret code.
him.
Cannonball!
So you do a lot of kayaking, but you also obviously love riverboarding. So how did you get into riverboarding? Did kayaking come first, or did riverboarding come first? Then you decided
No.
to want to kayak, or
Yeah, it was riverboarding first. I
riverboarding was
started
first?
riverboarding.
Okay.
Yeah, my wife got me. I did. I tried. I played other sports my whole life, and
Uh,
then my daughter was born, my wife said, "All right, you need to stop doing these particular sports."
ooh.
And on my
Wait, wait,
30th
wait,
birthday,
wait. Back up, back up. What
huh?
particular sports were you doing that you had to stop once you had a daughter?
Oh,
Because
Josh,
the
this is bad.
imagination goes wild.
The dog has to go to the bathroom, or she's gonna pee in my office.
Oh, okay.
So bear with me, dude. I'm sorry. Cannonball! All right, so the sports part. Yeah, I tried out for when I was, for 24 years, I tried out for the U.S. team for Taekwondo. So I ended
Nice.
up making third at the U.S. team trials and
So you're a
third at
total
the,
badass then.
I don't know about all that. Back in the day. Now I'm just a hurt old bastard.
You're hanging out with me when we go to Guatemala. You're my personal bodyguard.
Exactly. That's awesome. Yeah. All right. Sounds good. But yeah, no, I did that for years. I used to teach the Marines and
Really?
what do they call it? We called it not Fort Eustis. Yeah, Fort Eustis. We called it Fort Useless for anybody in the military. That's what we used to nickname it. And do self defense and taught women's rape prevention, and I
Nice.
helped pay my way through part of college or all my fun spending money when I was playing other sports. I taught the sororities how to do rape prevention. So yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, that's so and
It's a good
then
job.
yeah. So I've competed with people from the Philippines, Guatemala. Yeah, that was one of my hardest competitors. That's crazy. That's
Really?
seriously the hardest competitor, the hardest guy I ever fought was from Guatemala. He
Huh.
was the guy on the national team. He was a lightweight from Guatemala in '96. I still remember him. And he kept trying to break my neck. And yeah, oh yeah,
Wait,
he was
what?
trying to
I thought
kill.
Taekwondo was all about like a point system. Like you have to like.
Oh no. No, I have to send you a video on it. It's 3 minutes. Well, it's 2 minutes, 3 rounds, non-stop. You don't stop.
Okay.
You just keep beating the hell. It's like boxing with your feet. You
Right.
just keep going. And he put his foot on my left side of my shoulder and took his right foot and came over. And he put your leg here and you hit the person here and it snaps their neck. And it was that year everybody has this certain trick that they do, and that was the year where everybody started doing this particular trick. Does that make sense? Just like surfing, you started doing the 360
Sure.
aerials, or in any sport, you've got the new trick of the year.
Right. And
That
this
was
one
the
was
trick of
to
that year.
break the guy's neck.
Yeah,
Sure.
break the neck year. Yeah, exactly. It was really cool looking. I mean, guy puts his foot up here and then jumps up with the other leg and hits you across the top of your head and snap, and then you're out.
Yeah, but even in like UFC, like they get each other bloody and stuff, but you're not supposed to actually hurt them, like
Oh
injure
no,
them.
oh no, I've seen people have their jaws broken in
Okay, yeah, but
half.
I'm talking like
Yeah.
breaking someone's neck, breaking their leg, like that's where you tap out. But you can't really tap out if the guy just like breaks your neck. What
Yeah, I
is
know
that?
exactly. Yeah, this is you want to knock them out, you want to hurt them and just move on.
Wow,
Yeah.
I always thought Taekwondo was like just like a point scoring thing. Like you kick them in the chest, you get a point or whatever. You hit them and it's a point. I didn't really think it was like
That's really
UFC.
what it yeah, that's how they do it. But the theory is if you're doing 3 point, you're doing a point and each person gets a point, you have to go 3 rounds, 2 minutes each, you're going to be wore the hell out 6 matches in. So you get to the first guy and you're like, I'm just going to knock you out. And so I can do the next match that much quicker.
And
So,
that's legal. You can do
and
that.
that's legal. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Completely
okay.
legal.
Well, I just
So,
learned something because I didn't realize that.
yeah.
Oh,
So
that's
the guy from
intense.
Guatemala caught my neck and I flipped up around and hit him somehow. I don't even know how I did it, just from years of doing it, and hit him in the back of the head with my foot and knocked him out.
Nice.
and this is the U.S. Olympic Training Center, and he got up, and the whole place, the refs and everybody was like, everybody kind of paused, and then afterwards, it ended up being a draw, and I don't know how they gave it to him. I think I got kind of. Yeah, he was a little older, and I was a little intimidated. It was my first international match, and he came over, and him and the whole Guatemalan team were over there patting me on the back. I became, I can't remember his name. I wish I could, but yeah, it was cool as hell. That was
Wow.
awesome. Yeah, and that's
That's
Guatemala. That's my experience with the guys.
that's crazy.
So
You'll have to tell them
yeah,
that story when you go down. Because one of the girls that's competing in the riverboarding world championship in Guatemala, she's on the Olympic team for vela, which is like sailing, like the small
yeah.
individual sailboats. So she went to London and she competed there, and
Wow.
she won the Pan American Games. Like she got gold last year or something. So she's like a hardcore Olympic athlete, but she probably knows a bunch of those Taekwondo guys.
Yeah.
So I'll have to ask her. Maybe she can have one come to meet you and like kick you when you come to the airport or something.
No, the last time I
We'll
did it,
film it.
no, the last time I did it, I blew my knee out.
Oh no!
So
All right, well we
yeah.
don't want that.
So I think, yeah, with that being said, I think I have had 13 surgeries and 54 broken bones from the sport.
Goodness! Wow.
So
Yeah. So I see
yeah.
why your wife would say, maybe
So
try a different sport.
yeah, so that's so my daughter was born, and she said, "Let's I really don't want you doing this anymore. You get a head injury or something like that." So,
Yeah.
I've had 15 concussions from it. We always called it just you ever heard, you got rocked? You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Of
That's what
course.
we used to call
Yeah.
it
It's
back in the
like
day.
in football,
And
like you get rocked.
yeah, yeah, exactly. But back in the day, that's what everybody called it. Nowadays, they're like, "Oh, that's a concussion.
Yeah.
You've had a concussion." I'm like, "Oh, well, hell." Listen, so me and my training partner sat around and started nicking off all the times we've been rocked, and I was like, "Holy crap!" You know,
Dude, that's not good. Like you
nah.
gotta take some brain supplements and stuff to help repair that. Because I know people
Oh
who
yeah,
played a lot of football. Like I played a lot of football, but I was lucky. I don't know that I ever got any concussions to speak of. But I have friends and family that got a lot of concussions, and man, it affects them. The older you get, the more it affects you.
yeah, yep.
That's
No, it does. My memory as I've gotten older, because I'm almost 40, but I can feel it every so often.
yeah.
So that's why I'm not. I see this UFC stuff, and I think it's the dumbest shit ever in the world. I do.
Yeah.
I do. Oh yeah. And I had buddies of mine. I tried it when I was younger, but that stuff, you've met the guys in Bangkok that do that Thai boxing, and you've
Yeah.
seen them.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, 38 years old. Those guys are passing away. My
Yeah.
brother lived there, and he said it's horrific. Well, UFC's just gotten big in the United States in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
You don't know what's happened to those guys yet. The
No,
ones that were out
for
there.
sure.
And then in 10 years, you're going to hear what's happened to them, and it's going to make the NFL look like, golfers.
Yeah.
You
No,
know?
I believe that for sure. Yeah, because I
So,
mean the NFL is so violent, but you look at UFC and it's just, I mean, they're literally beating each other's heads. So
yeah. Yeah. So Brandy said, "Look, you got to get out of this." So her and my brother, the whole family got in on it. I saw it on Xterra commercial. Do you remember that Xterra commercial?
Yeah. From like,
Yeah.
gosh, when that was like late '90s, or no,
Yeah.
early 2000s. But yeah, I remember that Bob Carlson. They used boogie boards in the thing, but Bob Carlson was like part of putting that together. I remember that was the first kind of
Was he
introduction.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to meet that guy to tell him that's the reason I got into this.
Oh,
So
that's cool.
I saw it on Xterra commercial, and Brandy got hold of the owner of Ripboard,
Okay.
Shane
Uh-huh.
Boring, and so he came to the Coe River in Tennessee, and Brandy worked it out, and I came and met him with a buddy of mine, and she got me it for my 30th birthday, and yeah, that's it. So now I
Nice.
tell her I'm going to Costa Rica with Josh to do class fives and going on the green, and she's like, "I don't want to know. I don't want to know. Just have fun. I don't want to hear anything about it."
But
As
then, of
long
course,
as
she does hear all about it.
No,
No?
I don't. No, the last time,
She
like
heard
when we
about
went.
Zwix, right?
Say what?
She heard about Zwix, about
She
the
heard
big
about it
guy.
and she watched 5 seconds of it and walked away. She's like, I don't want to see anymore. I've seen enough." But she knows Alex, and she's met you, and she's seen your videos and everybody else, and been to the river. But when I came home and I had broken my rib, from the green, she was like, "No, I don't want to hear it. You did it yourself. You just, So, you know, it's just, it just is what it is." So
Maybe you're
she,
just fragile, Jay.
no,
You
yeah,
need to wear more
maybe,
padding.
yeah. I did not wear as much padding that day, did I?
No, you
As you
didn't.
did.
You didn't wear like anything.
Well, you gave me those thigh pads. That worked.
Oh, okay.
But
Well,
I
that's
didn't
good.
have. But yeah, it's just that
Right, no
one.
rib protection.
Yeah, I didn't have any rib. Did you?
No, I mean,
Oh,
I don't think there is rib protection. It's just the life jacket. But the life jacket rode up. That was what. That was what happened.
yeah,
And my
mine came
ankle
way up, and
jacked in
yeah,
my ribs.
yeah, got me good. So
That
yeah,
sucks.
but hey, you know what? Every time I would go, at least I had a better story than slipping and falling on ice
Yeah, yeah.
in the
True.
driveway. You
True.
know,
Yeah.
yeah,
Was
that's the way if you don't live and have a bruise, you're not living.
That's absolutely, yeah. You should feel like you did something at the end of the day, for sure.
Yeah,
Was
exactly.
that one of your scariest moments though in that hole at six?
That
Because you were in there for like 60
period.
seconds. Really?
Period.
Yep.
None to the day in any sport ever, bar none. That was it. That was it. The noise. So there was some. The video that's out there is just the edited version of it.
Right.
The raw footage that nobody will ever see is, I don't know if you've even seen that.
Yeah, I think
But
you sent it to me. I have the whole raw footage.
do you?
Yeah.
Damn it. So I was one of those moments I wasn't thinking about what I'm saying right now. So there's a point in there where I make this god awful noise, and I go, "Woo!" Do you seen that? Where everybody thinks that when you're in like you're really think that's it, that you're in bad off, that you're gonna have this manly noise that comes out of you.
Right.
Like
That you're
I'm
like fighting for your life and
fighting for my life. You're like, "Argh." No, mine is a 7-year-old little girl who stubbed her toe is what came out of me at that moment.
What did it sound like again? Sounds kind of like a drunken owl.
Yeah, yeah. It was. Yeah, my
That's
cousin heard
awesome.
that. He's like, "Let me see it," and I couldn't find the video, so I
Uh,
showed him the raw footage, and yeah, that has radiated throughout my entire family. So
so now
yeah,
people, when they greet you at family gatherings, are just like, "Woo!"
that's how my cousin answers the phone. Yes, he said, "I'm going to figure out how to make this your ringtone." I'm like, "I hate you. I hate you."
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty good. But
Oh,
yeah, that's definitely the scariest moment for
yep.
sure. Yeah.
I don't know what my scariest moment would be.
Yeah, I was about to ask you that. What's yours?
I don't know. I mean, I've had a bunch of scary ones, but like scary in hindsight or scary like in the moment? Because in hindsight,
Hindsight and in the moment. There's one that there's that one that it's in hindsight. I've got a couple that are in hindsight, but there's that one that's in hindsight and in the moment. You can pinpoint that one.
yeah,
You got
it
everybody's
would
got that one.
probably be on the Kaituna in New Zealand. It was like 2006. I think people read this story because we wrote about it afterwards. But we put on like we just got a lot of grief, and I don't mind saying this publicly because it seems to happen to everybody. There's a lot of really really cool people in New Zealand, but for whatever reason, when outsiders go to New Zealand, like
Uh-huh.
the local boaters and riverboarders just kind of give them a lot of crap. And it's not like when you go to some places people are really welcoming. Like you go to Indonesia, people are like, "Oh, welcome! We're so happy." They treat you like a guest. There, they just kind of like, "Screw you! Get off our rivers." You're
It's like a bunch of it's like surfers.
it's like surfers. It's really like that.
Kayakers are like surfers. They're yeah.
I've never seen
I
that
have the
anywhere
same.
else in the world though, other than there. And it wasn't just us because so many people that I know that have gone there have had this similar experience. But anyway, so I guess we kind of had a reputation anyway because it was like the internet stuff was just starting to come up, like as far as people from around the world starting to know other people from around the world, and so we were kind of seen as hotheads and like we thought we were big stuff or whatever. So the guides there were like, "Oh yeah, everybody's going today. You guys should totally go." Like, but none of them were putting on. Like they were not doing any commercial trips. Nothing. Like everything was just closed down. We're like, "Well,
Oh,
that's
so
kind of weird." So it turns out that it was like we talked to the security guys, like the Swiftwater Rescue guys, and because we met up with them later because I had to take a board to them, and it turns out that there was like whatever the little dam thing that controls the Kaituna River was like at open gates, which is way more water than normal. Like it was going through the trees around like this waterfall that normally you just go off the waterfall. Like so, Kevin and Regan get swept around this thing. Like they go through the trees and they ended up like making it down fine. And Peter and I, my brother, and we were definitely at fault. It wasn't just that they told us to put on when it was like at freaking flood stage when no one was going. We also had these huge foam boards. Like remember those duct tape and foam boards that we used to make?
I seen pictures of them.
Like they were huge. I mean, they were barges.
Insert picture.
Insert picture. Yes.
Yeah. 7-year-old young at me.
So.
I'm good.
Coming in. Okay. So yeah, we had these like gigantic boards that had way too much flotation, way too much surface area. Our fins were like these crappy little fins that had we were experimenting with other gear. Not really the thing to do when you're in a foreign country on rivers you don't know. So yeah, so we went off this waterfall and it was just like a really sticky hydraulic at the bottom. And we were there just getting beat down for what seemed like forever. I had no idea how long it actually was, but I mean this was early on when we were just starting to get into like bigger water, class 5 stuff, kind of challenge ourselves, and so that was the first like really like I think I'm gonna die experience, because it's just when you get beat down like that to where it's a vertical beat down, like we were leashed to our boards, which actually in that instance actually helped, I think, because like we would get pushed down and then the board would be so buoyant it would be sitting up on top, and so we'd like pull on the leash to like pull back up and then you get pushed down again.
Yeah, it seems like, do you feel this as there's that moment where there's a period in time where you're like, okay, I'm getting out, it's gonna work its way out, and all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, I'm not getting out of this.
Yeah,
did you have that feeling?
Pretty much, but I never really felt like I was getting out. It was just terrifying. It was like we were probably way over our heads in terms of the gear that we were using and the experience that we had with that sort of situation. Like we're really lucky because we didn't. I think a lot of people kind of progress from they go with people that know what they're doing and they start when they're young or whatever, and then they progress to class 3, class 4, class 5, whatever. Yeah. We just kind of jumped in when we started, like on inner tubes. We had no helmets. We had no.
I was about to ask you how did you and your brother get this started? This whole.
Well, that's a fun story with him. So basically, the short story is, he and his buddy, gosh, they must have been, was it college? Yeah, they were in college, and because I was like freshman in high school or something. So they hear about this place to go inner tubing. And it's a hot summer day, and so they're like, all right, we're going to go inner tubing. Well, they were supposed to go to a place called Carver, with a V, Caver, Carver Bridge. It's like a little class 1, class 2 inner tubing section of the river, Clackamas River. They ended up going too far, and they went to Carter Bridge, which is like the popular whitewater run. It's like class 3. Well, now we would call it class 3, but back then, American Whitewater called it like a class 3 with a couple class 4 rapids. And so they didn't have life jackets. They had nothing. They were just, what you do when you go to inner tubing. And so they get in, and this water is freezing cold too. I mean, in Fahrenheit, it's like 40 degrees year round. So the air might be 90 degrees, but the water is, it's freezing cold.
No wetsuits.
No wetsuit. They just had shorts. Nothing but shorts.
That's awesome.
So are
you sure this isn't in Tennessee? This sounds like something that's happened in Tennessee.
Seriously.
They had a Pabst Blue Ribbon in one hand.
No, they didn't. They weren't drinking. Like they were looking for adventure, but they weren't quite looking for this kind of adventure, I guess. So yeah, they jumped in and they were going down, and they ended up having to switch over to their stomachs because they're like, these rapids are too big, man. We can't go down like just sitting on the tube. So they started going down like head first, because it's like it's class. Like I would call it class 2 plus now. I mean, they're not really that big, but when it's your first experience with whitewater, like it seems big, right?
Yeah.
So there's a bunch of like class 3 rapids, and then you come around the corner, and this is like, that's where Peter's like, it's fun to have him tell the story, because he's like, man, we just heard this thunderous noise, and we're like, oh my god, we're gonna die, because you come around this corner and it just like all the sound resonates through the canyon because there's this huge wave train. Like, I mean, I would call it a class 3, but back then it was like a class 4 wave train, and at certain levels it gets really big. And so they bomb down through this thing holding on to their inner tubes, and then like they survive. So Peter comes home, he's like, dude, we got to go do this next weekend. So we went to the barn at my parents' place. We dug up these old life jackets from like the 50s. Seriously, they were my grandpa's fishing life jackets, and they were like these bright orange, like just these giant marshmallow pieces of foam wrapped in fluorescent orange. And so we went out the next week, and like the whole time we're going down, we're like, oh, can you feel your legs? Are you okay? Are you surviving? Because like our lips had turned blue, and we'd have to stop and lay on a rock just to warm up because the water's so cold. So, I mean, we did wear life jackets though.
Like a bunch of iguanas. That's awesome.
Yeah, just to warm up. But after a couple years, like we started adding wetsuits, and then we got smart and we started adding like shin pads, and it just kind of progressed from there. Then we found out about riverboards, and so we got some of those and started making some. You know.
So where'd you find out about the first riverboard?
I think a kayaker told us. Like, we were going down, and they're like, there's boards for that. You don't have to use those inner tubes. Because, like, we should do that sometime. Like, I got to take a group of riverboarders down on big old inner tubes. Because
pigeon.
The pigeon? Would that be good?
That would be an awesome one. On inner tubes?
It's such a unique experience because you're on this huge inflatable thing. And so you got to wrap your arms around it, but it's a little squishy. And so when you go through the rapid, you want to kind of be a little more aerodynamic. You don't want to have this huge surface area. And if you hit too flat on like a hydraulic, then it tends to like fold in half and like bend you backwards. And so there's kind of an art to manipulating the tube to kind of get it to go through holes and to steer the thing.
Right?
Yeah. We should really do that. That would be hilarious.
Well, you've seen that video of that one guy that tubed the golly.
No. Well, maybe I have.
You've not seen it? The guy that took an inner tube down
right?
Yeah.
Like a kayaker.
Yeah, but he had a kayak, but he had a paddle, and he kayaked down the upper gully. Yeah. So, I mean,
that's intense. You have more control. Honestly, you have a lot more control if you lay on it and you go head first. You have a lot more control if you're wearing fins.
Yeah.
Because then it's just like a big riverboard that's
really buoyant.
Yeah, too buoyant.
I'm in. I think I'm going to be doing that this summer.
We should do that.
Are you taking your board with you? No, I'm just going to take this tractor tire.
We totally have to do like a little throwback video. That would be fun.
Oh, that would be awesome. That'd be fun. So ever since then, so you've been into it in riverboarding how long now? How many years?
21 years this year.
21 years.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
And so you've gone from inner tubes to now the anvil, all the way through the whole progression of it.
Yeah.
So you got in help with the development, I guess, with Charles, correct?
No, I gave him a little bit of feedback, but it was the anvil was more him and Cellier from Fluid Kayaks. I was actually working on. And this is why we didn't really work too much together. Like, we've been friends for a long time, but at that time I was working with Matt in Montana on a mean monkey design, which is what we were calling it. So we were working on a foam hydrospeed, like pretty much the exact same style, but we were trying to do it in foam. And the issue that we had was we couldn't find anything to cover the bottom with in terms of like a hard plastic. Mm-hmm. But that's what we were working on at the same time that Charles and Cellier, those 2 years that they were working on the anvil. So there was really just a couple conversations that we had where he was like, hey, here's what we're doing. And I was like, yeah, it looks cool. I don't want to talk too much about it because we're doing something that's kind of similar. And so, I mean, yeah, we kind of just were doing our own thing. But
whatever happened to the mean monkey?
We just couldn't ever figure out how to attach the plastic to the foam. And we tried a bunch of different things. because we wanted basically this design, but with, the top 75% of it foam and the bottom 25% plastic.
Right.
And it's just the plastic and the foam don't adhere to each other. There's not really a way to do that. So if somebody can figure that out, it'd be awesome. Because I think it would be nice to have the anvil is amazing, but it would be nice to have it a little bit lighter. I think.
Yeah, the portages can get
soft
heavy
on top. Yeah. But you don't want it too much lighter because the weight really does help it punch. I would like it foam on the top, as far as like laying on foam, having foam where your face might hit, whatever. I never had a problem with that, but I know that it's just a little sketchy. I mean, obviously your ribs have have experienced why that would be handy to have it foam. So
yeah, exactly. But I've known a few people that have hit their face, with the plastic boards, and broke their nose, chipped teeth, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's why I have the full face.
The full face, yeah.
Not the plastic one.
No, that's smart.
On the smaller water, 3-4, I'll wear like a skull cap, like you got back there.
Mm-hmm.
But the bigger stuff, it's full face just for the hitting my face on that board.
Yeah.
So is Mean Monkey still around anymore?
No, they Matt made some inflatables, like some.
Oh yeah, I remember
those?
That. Inflatable, yeah.
They were super fast. I think I still have a couple somewhere. Yeah, I do. They're in Portland, my brother's place. But yeah, they once after he sold those, then just didn't make any more, and then he's been doing other things. So when the anvil came out, we were like, well, let's just jump on board with those guys, because they figured out how to do the plastic. And really, I think now, because I'm not sure, and I can say this now, I'm not sure that the anvil will be made anymore. Because Fluid is transitioning to more recreational kayaks instead of the whitewater stuff. So these might be the last anvils that are made. So there is an opportunity if somebody wanted to look at the riverboarding market and say, how can we do, maybe now that technology exists, to put a plastic hull on a foam top board in like the Hyderspeed style. And this style, like I was still using, when I went to France in 2007, I was still using those big foam duct tape boards. And
were you really?
Yeah.
When?
In
2007.
The first time I went to France,
Yeah.
And they, the first day they made me go with the women and children because they were like, oh, we don't know you, so you have to go, we have to see if you can ride. I'm like, what? So
I had
to go with the women and children so that they could observe me to make sure that I was competent in the water.
On what class water were they wanting to not let you on?
Like class 4.
Oh, okay.
I mean, when we'd put out lots of videos at that point, but they were just like, we don't know you, so sorry, you gotta go with the ladies.
You gotta be tested.
Yes. So, but then the next day I went and I used a Hyderspeed for the first time. And I was feeling really claustrophobic, and Raphael was like, no, you just gotta go with it. Like, just trust that your legs will take you where you want to go and that you can control where you're going. And so I tried it, and it felt really weird. The first one I used, I think it was just too small. But then I used another one of Nico's, Nico is like a Swiss-French legend. He'd been all over the world. And his board was awesome. Like, I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. So I used it the rest of the trip. And then I bought it from him and took it back to the U.S. and then started making our own. So from that, then the board that I made, which was really a lot like the anvil, and the board that Kevin had, the blue Aquiana or Akia.
Yeah, Aquiana is his nickname. Yeah.
That one I made right after I came back from France, like inspired by their design, like after the first one that I used. So those boards were a little bit bigger inside, just so it didn't feel so claustrophobic.
Well, that damn board, that Aquiana, has been down, I don't know, 10 years that he and I ride in class 4 or 5 rivers. And that sucker's still together.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still together.
That's the amazing thing about that foam, though. It's so durable, and there's no glue in there. So there's no glue to like eventually dissolve with the water and come apart. It's all just heat, and it took a long time. I mean, I don't know how many hours. I have to look at my notes from, because it was, almost a decade ago, but I spent probably 20 hours on each one of those boards, like just melting the foam together because you got to like melt the layers together. And as you melt them,
Really?
it's like a chemical bond. It makes it one piece. So that's why the board is held up so well
Because
because
it's
it's
just one gigantic piece of foam.
yeah, it's just one big hunk of foam that's just like basically melted together.
Wow.
Yeah.
So who do you think will be the next out of all the people that are left? Who do you think will pick up to where Anvil pushed it so far forward?
Uh, who knows? I mean,
You know, not,
you know that there's a lot of people working on boards for the World Championship, and that was a cool thing about Indonesia is that the French guys brought their slalom boards, which were perfect for Indonesia. I'm not so sure that they will be good for the course in Guatemala,
uh-huh.
or at least they'll probably be okay, but they won't give them as much of an advantage as they had in Indonesia. I mean,
Right.
those boards were just so quick, and they were perfect for the Class 2 course in Indonesia. But after they brought their boards and the Indonesian guys saw that, then the Indonesian guys started making the exact same board because Goutier left one of his boards there. Goutier is a really good shaper, if we can use the term shaper for shaping the foam hydro speeds.
Yeah.
And he's someone that is making tons of hydro speeds. He's not making them out of plastic; they're all foam, but he really loves the process of building boards. So we'll see. I mean, there's guys in the U.S., there's guys in Canada, there's guys in France, in Indonesia. All of them are making their own boards, so it'll be interesting to see what they come to Guatemala with and who's like, oh, I like that idea, and then who copies who. And I mean, that's why we don't have any restrictions on it because the sport is it's still in a embryonic phase where it's growing and developing. So it's like,
Yeah.
bring whatever you want. Like, we're not going to put restrictions on what you can use. Like, if you can advance the
hell,
sport.
we're even making one.
What's that?
I said, hell, me and Alex are making one.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna try it out.
I can't wait to see what you guys come up with.
Oh yeah, so yeah, Alex has got his shop going, and we're using molds of existing boards to be not said who, but yeah, we're working the system. There's a system. Just don't use it's kind of like a patent. You don't want to
that's
use all of it.
innovation. That's what pushes things forward. Like, and that's what needs to happen. I mean, everything builds on the preceding history. So if people can take the designs like the Anvil or the Kern and the Carlson and Goutier's hydro speeds for slalom and kind of meld something together and improve on it, awesome. I mean, it should be the same way for all the different gear. So
well, I got a question for you on that note. When you say that, with Fluid possibly not making anymore, and they're one of the bigger manufacturers. I mean, we got Ripboard, which I have a love for because that's what got me into it.
Yeah.
I
have a disdain for that board, but yeah.
Say what?
I have a disdain for that board. I like Shane. Shane was a nice guy, but I don't like the Ripboard.
Yeah, it's a big board. It's a big board. Yeah, but now you've lost that. The big manufacturer. You know what I mean? That helps, kind of like losing, like the NFL losing Budweiser. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was a big ordeal in the United States. You're like, oh crap, you're losing the big name.
Right.
You know what I mean? But at the same point, it's not in the U.S. Everybody's on the brand. So you see, you go on the river. I have an Anvil. Somebody else has a Ripboard. Somebody else has a foam board. They're gonna go, oh crap, you got a Fluid.
Right.
And they'll talk to you. They won't talk to the other two guys.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, but my question is, that's how it is in the United States. Around the world, how big is this sport? Take the name Anvil and all this manufacturers out. How big? What other countries are big with this sport around the world? I kind of went around the question to get there, but
there's a lot of places where it's big, but in terms of manufacturers, I mean, the sport's obviously very popular in Indonesia, in France, in the U.S., and it's kind of piecemealed in different places. It's huge in New Zealand, on the Zambezi in Africa, and then there's commercial outfitters in the U.S. and France and Italy and different places, Slovenia. In terms of manufacturers, though, I mean, that's what Fluid really gave to the sport. And so, even if it was only for 3 years, like we really owe Fluid a debt of gratitude because
Yeah.
they legitimized, in some ways, they really legitimized riverboarding again, because they're a mainstream kayak company, and they made a board that looked really legit and it performed incredibly well. And so, who will pick that up? I mean, I think at this point, it doesn't matter if it's a startup, if it's a brand that no one knows. Like if you guys made your own, or if I made a board or whatever, I think if it looks professionally made and doesn't just look like a hunk of foam, I think it will have a similar sort of legitimacy that the Anvil did. But
Right.
if someone like, I mean, I have no idea who would look at it if in terms of kayak companies, if Dagger or Jackson or Riot or someone like that looked at doing a riverboard, I think it would have the same type of legitimacy.
Yeah.
It just, I doubt that they would be interested. So
I mean, kayaking went through the same. I guess it was until a few years, maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago, they went through the same realm that riverboarding. Just from a manufacturing standpoint, you put them out there, they don't really sink, break, disappear. It's not like a car. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Once they're in the market, they're in the market.
Yeah.
And they just keep bouncing from person to person to
Yeah.
person. And that's kind of what they did in kayak. So now they've really had to revolutionize every year the outfitting,
Exactly.
the designs, just to make them, so much more appealing to the next group of people that want to buy boats.
Yeah, and so the kayak companies can make money. Yeah.
Yeah, you can get on Craigslist and find, 50 kayaks that'll get you down any river you want for $150.
Exactly.
Or you can go with the one with the pretty colors and the nice outfitting for $1,200. That's what's keeping
Right.
Jackson, Dagger, and Riot and all those guys
Keeping them in
floating.
business. Yeah.
No pun intended. You get it floating.
I want to see a lot more crazy boards. I want to see different fin styles. Like, I think people are going to be more creative this time because they realize I can get a little bit of an advantage by tweaking this little part of whatever it is with their gear. So
Yeah.
it'll be exciting to see who comes with what.
Oh yeah, I'm in on it. I've already started doing it.
Yeah.
So like I said,
what's your gear that you're tweaking that you think you can get an
fins
advantage with?
me and my buddy Alex are doing fins in the board with just to give a heads up with Kevlar. So
Kevlar.
that's all we'll say.
Okay.
Yeah, that's as far as we'll go.
Nice. So light and strong.
Yeah, light and strong, flexible.
Flexible.
Yeah, Kevlar can be very flexible. So if heated, treated, and bonded the correct way.
Okay.
So, I'm
Interesting.
learning a lot.
Because
Yeah.
I know that Denny in Canada, he made a board that, like, I haven't seen it, but Tom has seen it and I've heard about it. But it's like it had a hinge or something to where, like, the part that he was laying on and then the front part could be, like, maneuvered a little bit differently. Like there was a little flex there.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's pretty intense.
It would be interesting.
I don't know how that would help too much.
I'm not sure, but it's an interesting concept.
It's an interesting concept. Yeah, exactly. It's like a three-wheeler,
Yeah, kind of like
wheelers.
that. I
Yeah,
guess.
exactly. They're unstable as hell, but they were cool.
Do you remember those things? Do you remember all
Yeah.
of the all the crashing and people getting injured and stuff because they were?
Yeah.
I mean, you're basically riding a powered tricycle, and they're so unstable. Like you turn too fast and you're gonna flip over. It's just that's what happens.
And my parents let us ride them with no helmets. They're like, go ahead. Yeah. And now I tell my parents I'm going kayaking. They're like, you're crazy. Hold on.
And now kids can't even walk home from school by themselves without the
yeah.
parents getting in trouble. Back then, man, back in the old days.
Back in the old days, I remember standing up in the back of the car, looking out the back window, waving at people as we're driving 55 down the interstate.
Yeah.
Now I'd be in some orphanage right now. My parents would be in jail. They take everything away. But yeah, so it's kind of silly.
It is. Yeah, the state wants to control the process of natural selection. You should just let it happen. Just let the Darwin Awards be.
Exactly. I swear I think that'd be a better way sometimes. Darwin's theory would be so much better helped right now.
Yeah, yeah. They should just let it go.
Just like natural
All right,
selection is.
all right. So
But
that's the question for you. Darwin Awards or nanny state? Pick one.
what's the nanny state?
Nanny state, like the state being a nanny, like the state controlling everything.
Oh, completely Darwin Awards.
Darwin
I'm
Awards, yeah.
completely for the Darwin Awards. Yeah, there's
Okay.
this, there's too many knuckleheads out there. I see them day after day. I've rebuilt. My job. I see all kinds of different demographics. From very wealthy people to the lowest economic denominator, and it has nothing to do with money. I'll tell you that right now. So it's not like I'm saying this from a social, an economic level.
Right.
You got idiots in the lower economic as much as you do that have a lot of money.
Sure.
They're just dumb.
Money can't buy class.
Money can't buy a class. And, I can think of a couple TV shows: Real Housewives of Atlanta, Real Housewives of New York, Real Housewives of Orange County. I can list them. I know I can keep going too. That's the bad part about it. I've seen the shows. Nene still is cool. So props to Nene.
I have no idea what you're talking about right now.
Oh yeah, everybody know who I'm talking about on that one.
All right.
But yeah, the Darwin Awards, yeah, which is survival of the fittest, natural selection.
Yeah. Or the failure to survive of the dumbest.
Yeah, or failure to survive of the dumbness. Exactly.
I haven't looked at. I'm sure that the site is still out there, but I remember like in the early 2000s or late 90s, early 2000s, like there was a Darwin Awards site, and I don't know how much of it was real, but it was absolutely hilarious. It was like, did you remember that site? It was like one of the first like comedy sites online that I remember.
I still think that's out there.
Is it?
Yeah.
I imagine that there's like so many more now because everyone lives their lives like on social media and like they live tweet every poop and everything that they eat, and so it's like there's got to be a lot more stuff published in terms of people who died while taking a selfie. I mean, that's the Darwin Awards at its finest, right?
Oh my Lord, here it is, the DarwinAwards.com. 2014 Darwin Awards. And there it is. Selfie with the elephant.
And died?
Resurrection. Oh, yeah. No, there's this. Two men in Kenya were capturing selfies with a wild elephant when they were trampled to death by the irate pachyderm who proceeded to bury the corpse. The two men were actually touching the elephant's face.
Wow. Yeah, elephants are big. I've been around nice, tame elephants, but yeah, I wouldn't want to try and get a selfie in front of a wild one.
No. Yeah, and then here's a pool party in the small town of Karzwaka. Tragedy struck yesterday as 7 people accidentally drowned in a cesspool, one after another. Their first death was that of a tractor driver whose job was to empty the septic tank.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Like they were swimming in a cesspool?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, yeah, that's why they call it the Darwin Awards. That's what I'm talking about, Josh. Yes, Darwin.
Yeah.
Now, the people that we're reading about right here are the ones that say the nanny state. I bet you money.
Yeah, they would rather.
But I don't know. What's your thought on it? I'm pretty sure I see which way you're leaning.
No, I'm definitely Darwin Awards. I mean,
if you would have said nanny state, I would have been completely shocked.
No. I think the nanny state should be abolished. Are you kidding? I think the war on drugs should not exist. Like,
I agree with that.
it's such a waste of money. Like, yeah, and not to get all political, but look, if somebody wants to like inject heroin in their veins, maybe we should teach them why it's not a good idea. But I don't think we need to spend billions of dollars like putting non-violent marijuana offenders in prison for life. I mean, come on, that's just stupid.
Oh, I know. I agree with you. My dad had many of guys that worked for him in his construction company that had been in jail for marijuana. It's yeah. So
I understand you shouldn't get high and operate heavy equipment, but
yeah,
I mean,
yeah, that's Yeah, but see, that's back to the Darwin Awards. That goes right back. It all circles back around, man.
Okay, but here's a question then, because we both know people that will go get super high and then go get on the river.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I've seen that. We've
And,
seen that together. You and
ex-
I have seen that together.
yeah, and I don't understand it. I mean, I've tried to understand it, like honestly, open minded, trying to understand, like why, like does it make you calm down, like if you have nerves or whatever, or like because there's studies that say for some people marijuana like makes things more exciting, like every sense, like every sensation is heightened. And so, okay, I can get that. You smoke, you get high, and then you get on the river, and like everything feels like so much more intense. Okay, I understand that. Or if you're just naturally like really nervous, and so it helps you calm down and focus before you get in the rapids. All right, I get
Hmm.
that too. But like I know guys that'll like get baked, and then they'll go get on the river, and then they'll stop 15 minutes later, and they'll smoke again. And it's like the whole trip they're smoking. It's like by the end of the trip, they're like, dude, man, it's class 5. Let's go. Like they're just out of their minds. Like that can't
Yeah.
be safe.
No, that's not safe. They had I remember in college, I took a sociology class, and the professor said, I know all of you guys, do illicit drugs in the class. He's just saying it to everybody because we're all in college,
Right.
And one of the things they had a group of athletes in England, and they took a portion of the C team, that's
Okay.
like the third in line
Mhm.
for the U.S. I mean for the English Olympic wrestling team,
Okay.
and they gave them illicit drugs, pot and mushrooms, and they had them practice before with the teammate and after doing that illicit drug with the teammate.
Okay.
And I'm not making this up. When they did it before with the teammate, and you can find this article wherever it is, especially I remember the mushrooms is what blew my mind. They did they were more on point, they were more clean, they were better at the activity on mushrooms playing a physical activity than they were beforehand. And these are Olympic athletes.
Really
And they said the same thing with pot. They
interesting.
said because it kind of comes back down to that age-old flow state, the flow
Hmm.
mentality.
Yeah, yeah.
You
Yeah.
kind of get in the flow,
Okay.
and that kind of helps wash away everything else you could be thinking of except for that one item that you're dealing with.
So it
Now,
helps you narrow your focus then.
it helps you narrow your thought down, but you
Interesting.
can't do it. You have to do it for activities that are take that commitment.
Right.
Driving a car, driving a forklift, hanging out around the house, stuff like that. I mean, but you have to be good enough at that activity in the first place to be able to do it. You know what I mean?
So you're
Like
saying if you're a forklift driver, you get high, it makes you a better forklift driver.
no, 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 no. The way
I'm not sure Darwin would agree with that.
yeah, yeah, but that was some of the questions that came out in the class, and he's like, no, you have to be doing something where you're completely committed to it. You would be committed to it in any way in the first place. Like wrestling. The only thing you're thinking about is that person in front of you,
Sure.
right? And so you're wrestling that person. So it's a committing activity. Kayaking, riverboarding, mountain biking. You're committing to that moment. Nothing. You're not thinking about your bills. You're not thinking about anything else.
Right.
So when they added on that illicit drug, it helped heighten the situation, and they only concentrated on that item. If they had anything else out in the perimeter that they had to deal with, they were complete idiots.
Oh, I see.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that totally makes sense.
So, like, if you were to drive a car and you're listening to stereo and driving and you're high, you're an idiot.
Yeah,
You know
because
what I mean?
you can't adapt or adjust to any outside
can't.
influences that might come in.
Yeah, you can't adapt or adjust, and
Gotcha.
that's back in the Native Americans. They did the same thing. They concentrated, they did their chants, and they did everything on a central point, and then they would bring that on those drugs or illicit things to enhance
Right.
that one thing. And that was my old sociology
Interesting.
professor at Radford. So yeah, he looked baked too, though, I have to say. But he was convincing. He was convincing. I never really believed him, and I never really tried it. I mean, I was trying out for the Olympics. I'm like, you know what? I think the next trials, I'm gonna eat a bunch of mushrooms. I'm gonna see how this works for me.
You better hope you don't have to take a drug test.
Yeah, it's like,
That's the thing that I don't understand either. Like the NFL, the NBA, like if they drug test, like and they catch you for marijuana, it's like a big deal. Like I
oh yeah,
understand, I don't agree with the PEDs. like performance enhancing drugs. I think that should be legal. But I understand. I get where they're coming from. Like if they don't want it in the league. But marijuana, like really, you're gonna suspend the guy for 4 games because he smoked pot? Really? What advantage did he get? That's ridiculous. And it's legal it's legal in Colorado and Washington, Oregon, and wherever else. It just doesn't make any sense.
But smoking cigarettes doesn't count. Do you know that?
Yeah. No, you can smoke all you want. Like, but who would smoke cigarettes? What athlete would smoke cigarettes?
The Brazilian Olympic soccer team does.
Really?
They smoke during the off season, and while they're practicing. And this is a true fact. They'll smoke cigarettes in the off season, and then so when they start working out again, their lungs are having to work so much harder that their endurance. There's something to do with the amount of activity that they're doing. Then they can only spike so much higher. So they're trying to figure other ways to bring themselves down. So they smoke cigarettes to screw with their lungs to make them stronger. And then they stop smoking, and then their endurance blows through the roof. That's their theory.
That is fascinating. Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. I met a guy from in college that was from Lithuania, played on the basketball team, and he smoked constantly in the off season. I mean, he's dude smoking pack a day, and during the season, he never stopped moving on the court. He was the one guy that never stopped moving. Where I was like, that is, oh yeah,
interesting.
Yeah,
well,
pretty interesting.
Maybe I'll have to take up smoking.
No,
in the
it's a horrible idea. Yeah, this is a horrible idea. It's a horrible. Now I've seen guys that have done that.
So let's see, cigarettes or marijuana, Jay? You might get yourself in trouble. How about cigarettes or cigars?
Yeah, thank you for catching me on that first. I'd go with cigars.
Cigars.
Yeah.
I've never really understood. I think it smells nicer. We used to go wakeboarding with the guy who would always be smoking like a big old Cuban cigar on the boat. Yeah. And it smelled nice. Like he would usually smoke like when he was driving for me, so I'm back there like trying to wakeboard, and I get these wafts of like this nice smell. Yeah, I never really got into it, but I like the smell of other people's Cuban cigars.
Yeah, like on somebody's born, baby gets born, and you remember back in the day they'd give out a cigar. You don't see somebody go, "Hey, I had a daughter. Here's a pink pack of Marlboros." You know what I mean? Now that would be awesome. They should start marketing that.
I bet there are families, probably in your state, where that happens.
I got pink and blue Marlboro packs for everybody in the family. But yeah,
I bet that exists. Yeah.
That's awesome. I'd definitely say cigars. And I'm not big on them. They're kind of a little outside of my realm of wanting to spend $20 on something I smoke.
Yeah.
So, all right, let me think of some. I got to think of one for you. So we hit.
Sweating over
Sorry,
there.
Josh. Yeah, tell the truth. You're making me sweat watching you sweat. Jesus, man, I'm freaking 10 degrees at my house.
It's like 35 in here.
Now that we've talked about this a bunch, so would you do? Now, how do you feel about soccer? Being at the internet, with all the places that you live.
Soccer, yeah.
Yeah.
Is this an either or question, or is this?
Yeah, it's either or. The World Cup or Olympics. The World Cup's a soccer event, but the Olympics covers it all.
Summer Olympics or Winter Olympics? Actually, you know what?
I'd have to say summer. Winter Olympics isn't really. That's not really. I don't consider that the Olympics.
Okay, I'll say.
I'm gonna hit that one afterwards too.
Okay.
Another one.
Gosh, that's a tough one. I'll put a caveat with it because I disdain the IOC. I can't stand the Olympic Committee and all their stupid rules and their hypocrisy, and I really, really, really dislike them.
Yeah.
So because of that, I would take the World Cup. But I have to say that watching, especially track and field in the Summer Olympics is just, that's one of my favorite things ever.
Yeah.
Is watching the sprinters, especially the 1, the 2, and the 4. Just I'll make sure that I actually get in front of the TV to get to watch that. Especially the last few years, man. But I mean, ever since I've been a kid, like the sprinters are always the best. Just there's something about those guys are the cockiest dudes on the planet, and
Oh,
then there's just something about the way they have to carry themselves. I mean, it's like especially like the 100-meter sprinters. It's yeah. I would
it's
rather
like
rather
it's
watch
like
that.
six Muhammad Ali's walking around in the street
Exactly.
with
Yeah.
not saying anything, just everything with their eyes. They have a thing called the Sea Ray Relays, which is one of the big precursors to like the U.S. team trials here in Knoxville
Uh-huh.
at UT, University of Tennessee,
Yeah.
and they have athletes, from all over the world, come run the 100, 2, 4, everything for track and field, and you'll see these guys come out there, and I can't think of Usain Bolt.
Usain Bolt. Yeah.
Yeah, supposedly he was there. I got there too late, and
Oh
then
man, that
didn't
would
get to
be
see him.
incredible.
Yeah, and then they had a bunch of the guys from the U.S. that were on the Olympic team and world record holders,
Uh-huh.
and I did get to see them, and that is absolutely amazing to see that happen. But that's what I love about the Olympics is, I mean, these people it's not for the money, it's not for anything, it's just for to be the best of the best at one particular thing, and
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
and they don't even think past that.
No.
That's the thing. You don't think what am I going to do after this?
No. Their
That
entire life is focused on that one thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
yep, exactly.
That
And
is really cool. That I guess thinking about it more in depth. Yeah. Summer Olympics versus World Cup. The World Cup is cool, but it still is more the nationalistic thing, which I'm not a huge fan of. Um, I think it's cool that the whole world actually like follows along on something, but yeah, Summer Olympics is some of those stories too of people like they've worked their whole life since they were 8 years old. This was their goal, and now here they are. They're 26, and this is their last shot at glory. And it's like
yeah,
some of those stories are pretty cool, pretty intense.
yeah. Yeah, there and yeah, exactly. I've met a lot of those guys back in the day that have done everything in the world to get to that point, and they made it. And the aftermath isn't always as beautiful.
Yeah.
I got the. You ever heard of the? Do you remember the World Wrestling Federation? Come on, you got to remember that back in the day, the WWF,
Oh, like professional wrestling. What they
professional
call Yeah.
wrestling, as they call
Wrestling.
it.
Yeah.
Do you remember a
Made
guy
for
by the
TV
name
wrestling.
of made for TV? Did you ever see that? Did you
No.
ever watch it
I
when
was
you were a
never
kid?
allowed to watch that.
Were you not?
No.
Oh, see, my parents let me watch when I was a kid, and they had a guy called the Ultimate Warrior,
Okay,
and
yeah,
he
that's
was
familiar.
yeah, and he was like the biggest, baddest world record, world champion of wrestling,
Uh,
and I think he just passed away from drug overdose and had given his world wrestling belt away on or had hawked it on Craigslist.
oh
Yeah,
yeah.
for money. But have you ever seen the documentary? And I'll tell this to anybody: you have to watch the documentary Broken or Broke.
Broke.
Have you
Oh yeah,
seen
yeah.
that?
The 30 for 30. ESPN 30 for 30.
Yeah,
Broke.
30 for
Yeah.
30.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So the reason I got out of like hardcore sports, I mean like hardcore, this is a sport and I love it, and I kind of live to do this: whitewater, riverboarding, kayaking, but is I remember watching the Olympics in '96, or is it 2000? God, I can't remember. Anyways, I think it was '96. It was '96, and the guy had just won the 110-meter hurdles for the U.S. team. Did I ever tell you the story?
No.
And the guy had won the 110-meter hurdles, and me and my dad were sitting around, and it was in Athens. And it was late at, it was the Atlanta Olympics.
Yeah.
And it was late at night, and I'd gotten back from practice, and the guy was interviewed, and they were asking him, "Look, you finally won the gold medal. How do you feel about it?" And he took his medal off, and he put it on the table, and he said, "I missed my prom for this." He's like, "I've missed all of my family reunions. I've missed college. I missed the college lifestyle." He said, he went through this whole list of stuff that he had missed. He said, "For this right here, for the USA to count for a number in the gold medal records." And he slid it off the table,
No
off the front,
way.
into the where all the uh, you know news media was, and he said it wasn't worth it. He's like, I'd give it all. I'd give it back right now if I could have that time back. And I remember him looking up at he looked into the television, that television. He said, I wouldn't do it again. And my dad looked at me and he goes, you sticking with this? And I said, I'm out. And that was it. That
No
was it.
way.
So yeah,
Really?
that was like I could never get the motivation to get high enough to want to do it anymore after that.
Yeah.
I still always wanted to do it, but I always had that in the back of my mind. And so when I'd start doing something and, it'd be time to some event going on and I had a tournament, I'm going, watching all my buddies go off to do something it's a once in a lifetime event for that side. And I have my personal once in a life event here. I'd go, screw it. I'm going this way. And I never feel bad about it one day. I missed the tournament,
Nice.
whatever. But
Nice.
I went to prom.
That's intense. Wow, I never heard that story.
Yeah,
That
that was one of the, that is my, everybody has that moment in life where you're like, all right, I got to change what I'm thinking about here.
Yeah.
And mine was on television at like midnight. So yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. That's pretty
Wow.
cool. One of my favorite
Not
stories.
worth it, huh?
No, not worth
Interesting.
it. So, but you got to have a passion. That's why we
For
both
sure.
do this.
For sure.
So, I meet a lot of people nowadays that say, I met one of my buddies, his family's super, super well off, right? And his sister, I was talking to her and he said, you know what? And she's like, I admire you because you have something you're passionate about. You have a passion, something you love to do. And I was like, yeah, I guess I never thought of it that way. She's like, man, I wish I could find something. And I was like, yeah, so, you got to get out there and look for it,
Yeah, for sure.
you know?
Absolutely. I think that's important for adults, for kids, I think that too many parents now put this is easy for me to armchair quarterback here, but too many parents put so much importance on like their kids, like they try and live through their kids or whatever. Like, you will do this, you will be good at this, whatever. Like, I think it's important to try a lot of different things. Finish what you start, but if you play soccer 1 year and basketball 1 year and volleyball 1 year and whatever, you try gymnastics or the chess team or music, trombone, like it doesn't matter. Like, just do different things. And you can do the same thing as an adult. Like, try something new every 3 months and just stick with it for 3 months and see if it grows on you, see if you love it. Develop a decent, obviously, first time you go kayaking, you're going to be terrible at it. So
You hate it? Well, first year or two.
first year, whatever, yeah.
Freaking hate it. Yeah.
But once you figure out how to roll and then you get comfortable in the water, maybe start with riverboarding because it's a lot easier learning curve. Like, see if it grows, because everybody does need a passion, but you can't figure out what you're passionate about if you don't try a lot of different things.
Yeah, but see, the thing is that now since, and that's the one debate that I always hear is kayak riverboarding, kayak rafting, riverboarding, kayaking. It doesn't, you know what I mean? And which one's harder, which one's easier? I have to say, kayaking is hard.
Yeah.
Because of the balance and the nuances with it, and rafting is driving a bus down the river, and
Right.
and riverboarding it takes a little more. It's a little more endurance.
Yeah.
Riverboarding is way more tiring than kayaking. I can float down. You can float down a Class 5 river if you know the certain amount of strokes that you need to take and when. Riverboard, you're kicking non-stop the entire
full-on
time.
workout.
Yeah, it's a full-on workout, and so, but at the same point, all of them. Nobody should have anything against either of them because you're all trying to get out in the same area to see things that most people can't.
Yeah.
There's a small amount of percentage of people that get to see the places, you and I and the people listening get to see.
Yeah.
You don't get to see this stuff any other way. You can't hike into these places. You can't, you can see it off someone else's GoPro. Let me see if I got my GoPro around here,
Yeah.
That's about the only way you're going to see these places.
Yeah, and that's
not living.
Yeah, that's part of the beauty of whitewater, of the sport and the camaraderie. But unfortunately, it is a bummer that there is so much, oh, well, I'm a kayaker and that person's a rafter or that person's a riverboarder. They're just like, and I guess it's natural, it's just human. We like, on a broader scale, it's like people fight against racism, but everywhere in the world you go, people are naturally inclined, even if you take, like, this is a really crass example, but I was reading something about ISIS recently, right?
Yeah.
ISIS,
Yeah,
like
the
this
article you
murderous.
sent me?
Maybe it was that one, yeah. This murderous group that beheads people for not believing the same as them and blah, 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 right? So they're supposedly like the most pure form of Islam, etc. Well, so they've got all these foreigners coming in from other countries, other races. They have white people, they have black people, they have Arab people, they have Eastern Europeans, they have, all these different people, Asians. The ironic thing about it is that those people all hang out in their little groups. So like all the white foreigners hang out together, the black foreigners hang out together, the Asian foreigners hang out together. It's like even in like the most purest unholy or holy, like where they're trying to say that they're equal and they all believe in the same God and blah blah blah. I mean, there still is that natural tendency to hang out with people like you. Yeah. So, in that sense, like on a crass human level, I get it that, okay, riverboarders are going to hang out with riverboarders and kayakers are going to hang out with kayakers. But you're totally right, because all of, whether you're rafting, you're kayaking, you're riverboarding, even if you're stand-up paddleboarding, in some cases, like you can go to explore these river canyons and be in these places what no other humans really ever get to see, unless it's like an indigenous tribe that lives along the riverbank or something in that one little spot. But that kind of exploration is it's so incredible. And so it is kind of, it's been very frustrating for me over the years, but it's just sad too that there's so much animosity between different groups. Like, oh, you're a riverboarder, screw you. Like, no, you can't come with us because we're kayakers, we're better than you. It's like,
oh yeah.
Maybe I just like to swim, and you don't like to swim. That's why you sit in your boat with your little skirt, right? Because you don't like to swim. I like to swim. Okay, I'm not going to give you crap for being a kayaker and wearing a skirt. Like, you like to go down the river one way, I like to go down another way. Let's go together. But unfortunately, it doesn't happen that much.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, that's also people being, just like they say. Who is it? I think I'm quoting somebody that would be shocked that I'm quoting. Russ Sturgis called them dirtbag kayakers. Mm-hmm. I mean, you've got they're even inside the sport of kayaking, you've got idiots and really good athletes, and then even within the good athletes, you've got the assholes. And I don't care what sport you're in. I mean, even every sport I've played, you've got that group of people. It doesn't matter which sport it is, soccer, basketball, baseball. You've got those guys, and they all assimilate to look the exact same. They try to dress the same. They try to wear the same gear. They try to act, walk, talk the same way, And surfing was a big one where I grew up. Everybody was bra. You had these guys that looked surfer. Uh-huh. You know what I mean? And they acted like it, and they were idiots. But that's the one thing I see with kayakers is they kind of remind me of inland surfers.
Yeah. So if you show up with a fancy shuttle vehicle, you're not going to be quite as accepted as if you show up in a 1986 Subaru.
Yeah, we've had this conversation, haven't we? We'll leave it at that. But yeah. But I mean, me and you went down with some of the world's best kayakers down the green. Remember? Yeah. And everybody was really cool to us. Yeah. Because the guys that were there, it's a different. They have a different mindset.
But I think also it's being there, like that maybe they give us more respect because they're like, wow, you're in here running the green, like okay, you must be legit. But think about like what if those guys had seen us like on the Golly or on the Pigeon. And they'd be like,
one of those guys did see me on the Golly and had something smart ass to say.
Exactly. Exactly. There's less respect there because it's like, whatever, you can float down on a pool toy in the upper Golly, like not a big deal. But if they see you in a different place, then it's like, oh, respect. Which I think that's kind of lame.
But I can't understand it if you think about it. I can't understand it. And from their closed-minded self, you got to think of.
Yeah, but it depends on, like, if you're posturing, I mean, okay, if I'm acting like I'm the best thing in the world, like, oh, I'm a pro riverboarder, man, I'm awesome, and I'm on, like, the Pigeon, then, okay, I can understand if kayakers are like, you're a douchebag. But if I'm just like, hey, I'm out here, man, what's up? Like, it's a beautiful day, I'm just enjoying the river. Yeah, I wanted to take some newbies down the river, so we're going riverboarding on the Pigeon. Like, I'm just like a normal person, like I love the river. Hey, it's cool that you're
Right.
out here too. You love the river. Like, then to be treated like I'm a douchebag just because I'm a riverboarder, that's kind of offensive. Like
No.
that's
Yeah.
annoying. That kind of pisses me
Yeah.
off. So,
Yeah. I agree with it. Now there's no like I mean I have my judgmental side. Like I think rollerblading is cheesy. See, there you go. You even said the same thing. Uh,
but see now you're comparing riverboarding to rollerblading.
no, I'm not.
We get that
No,
enough already.
no. I'm thinking I'm thinking of ones that I'm judgmental on. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Like my wife had a friend, or her best friend, Emily, and she was married to a guy, no names, and he was a professional rollerblader. I
Such a
am not
thing
making this up.
exists.
Huh? Oh, I didn't either. But see, nobody knew a professional riverboarder existed.
It doesn't.
But it does. I know. But you know what I mean. A professional kayaker really doesn't exist. You know what I mean?
Well, there's like 5 of them probably in the world.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. But they do other things
Yeah.
to pay the bills and off season
Yeah,
blah
they
blah
have
blah.
to. Yeah.
Yeah. But this guy was like a professional rollerblader, and he traveled the world rollerblading, and he was a millionaire.
From rollerblading or from
Some
something else?
rollerblading. Do you remember the main? You got rollerblades still in the store to the day.
Oh
You can go
yeah,
to
I have
Dick's.
some in my closet. It's my. No, just kidding.
Yeah, but you can go to Dick's Sporting Goods and still get rollerblades like the manufacturer.
It's because it's
And I
Dick's
mean,
Sporting Goods.
yeah, exactly. But I mean, but he would go to Brazil. Was one story she told me, and they got off the plane, and he had to have security guards.
No way.
You can ask Brandy this one. I am not making this one up. I couldn't even make this one up.
Like all the
And they had
transvestites in the city came out to meet him at the airport.
Sorry, Emily. This is funny though. You know it is. But they had his like the bus was wrapped with his picture on it.
It's like
Going
spandex.
yeah with this tight spandex, and I guess the next bus was a speed walker going real fast. I'm just joking. So, but yeah, he would in the off season like ride. He would do off season training with riding his road bike with Armstrong.
Really?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I was kind of
respect for that.
yeah. So it was an odd scenario,
What
but
did he do though? Like I gotta know more about this rollerblader guy. Like what? How did he
they
make
had
money from? Did he do tricks? Like did he do flips and arrows, or did he
no,
just
they
like
had speed.
rollerblade? Like
Yeah, no, they had rollerblading tournaments. I don't know if they even have it anymore. They may. I'm gonna have to look it up after this. But they would do races and they have purses for it all around the world.
oh, I'm sure
And
they
he'd
have
be gone
purses.
for yeah, exactly. Oh my god,
Little
you're on
spandex
it.
purses.
You're on it. You're on it. That was awesome. But yeah, but a lot of the guys that are on now on the U.S. Speed skating team
Mhm.
were the guy that won the one of the guys that won the last Olympics for speed skating was one of his training partners
Really?
for
Well, I
rollerblading.
can see how if
And
you're a
Brandy
speed
said,
skater, yeah.
yeah, and Brandy said, "Oh, I met him at Emily's house." I'm like, "He's a gold medalist," and she's like, "Yeah, what's his name was better than him, and he was the one that he would draft behind, and the guy would speed past him
Oh yeah.
to win the races.
Right.
He stayed in rollerblading, and all the rest of them are now Olympic gold medalists in speed skating.
Interesting. But you said
But
the Winter Olympics doesn't count as Olympics.
I
What was
don't
your
really
theory on
do.
that?
My theory is it's you ever heard of rich people problems? You ever heard that?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
ever heard
like
that
first
saying?
world problems, like rich
Yeah,
people problems. Yeah.
yeah. There's no sport in the Winter Olympics that's cheap to do. None. Zero.
That's a good point. Well,
That's not.
curling, which isn't even a sport, but it's in the
You
Winter
can get.
Olympics.
When I get older, am going to pick that sport up. I'm dead serious. That is the best sport ever. Okay, if that's going to curtail my comment on the Olympics or non-Olympics, badass. I had shoulder surgery and watched curling for 2 weeks on the Olympics. It's amazing. I know everything about it.
Wow.
But no,
I know
seriously.
nothing about it. It's just I think It's not a sport. You're like pushing a
It's
rock
not.
across the ice with a
It's
broom. Like,
no. It reminds me of like it's a bunch of drunk people that came up with an activity that persuades somebody over a drunken night to allow them to go to the Olympics. I don't because they didn't have a lot of stuff. I mean, skiing is an expensive activity. Snowboarding
sure.
expensive. Oh my God, let's look at the bobsled. Dude, you have to have a specific track
Yeah, you can
built.
only do that if you're part of the Olympic team. Like it's only an Olympic sport, pretty much. Have you ever heard
Yeah,
of anything else bobsled related? That's not Olympic.
I'm going bobsledding tomorrow with a bunch of the boys.
Yeah. Okay.
Going to the track. Nobody has that. I mean, ice skating. Maybe somewhere up north, but these ice rinks have to be perfect, and
Yeah.
you know, track. You got people
Anybody
running
can
on
run.
dirt fields in one direction. I mean, and
Yeah.
you've got soccer playing with rope balls
Hmm.
around the world. You know what I mean? Baseball. Look at the guys from Cuba that play, and that play baseball with, yarn balls and stuff like that. I
Yeah.
mean, but boxing, you got two mitts and just beat the hell out of each other instead of you standing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
that's
but
true. The Summer Olympics are much more accessible. That's a great point.
yeah,
Yeah,
and in the Winter Olympics, they
that's
have to hold
interesting.
them in these remote, ridiculously expensive resorts.
Yeah,
Like, look what they did for Russia the last Olympics.
yeah, like
Did you?
$50 billion or something.
Yeah, and
Crazy.
they had to build a resort to hold the Olympics. And then,
It's crazy.
yeah, so I love skiing, but I'm not a winter Olympic. I don't consider it the Olympics.
So you're not going to do that. What's that one where you do cross country skiing with a gun and shoot stuff?
Bia the biathlon.
Biathlon.
Yeah.
Like some of those sports, I'm sure that they were like useful, 100 years ago, back when you had to like hunt your food that way. But now they're just like weird sports.
There's one person in Scandinavia that really use that activity.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? I mean, but
yeah,
I gotta say at the same point, you don't have that many people going, I need to do a pole vault for any reason at all, or or a high jump, jump backwards. There's a lot of activities, but the
that's true.
biathlon, those guns are super expensive, like $10,000 for the
Yeah,
gun. The
yeah,
skis are like thousands of dollars, and then you got that cold weather spandex that's probably expensive
it's like a
in a
superhero
nice,
costume. Yeah,
yeah, in a nice, beautiful mountain resort that is expensive to stay at just to practice.
yeah.
So,
Cannonball! All right,
that's
let's do a few more of these.
all right. Let me
Um,
do.
let's see here. Oh, I know
Okay.
your favorite one. Miley Cyrus or Taylor Swift?
Well, I'm gonna have to say I'm gonna go with Taylor Swift because I listen to that every day on the way to swim practice with my daughter,
Okay.
and I know lyrics at this point.
Hmm.
And when we come up to the stoplights, I like to break out a couple dance moves to embarrass my 8-year-old daughter. Oh yeah, that's
Can
awesome.
you show us now?
Nope, nope, no.
At the World Championship, we're gonna put on some Taylor Swift right when you least expect it, and then
If
we're
my
gonna
daughter,
we're gonna have cameras all around you when you start doing your dance moves.
oh yeah, if my daughter's with me, I will so do it just to watch her. Yeah, so I can keep that for record for when she gets older.
Nice.
All
All
right.
right.
Worst
Uh,
job you've ever had?
Worst job I've ever had.
All right.
Oh, that's easy. That's super easy. And I've done some crazy. I've like dug ditches. I've done all sorts of horrible things. Roofing in the summertime when it's like 100 degrees outside. Like, but that's not the worst job at all. Like those are.
Oh, that's
I
not
would.
the worst.
Oh no. I would take those jobs over this any day. I worked for a very brief period of time I think it was when I was in college. It was like over Christmas at UPS, like the
Really?
United Parcel Service, and I was on I guess they call it being on the dock, like in the warehouse where all the packages come, like, and they just keep coming, and you have to
Yeah.
pack them into the trucks.
Yeah.
So I did that. So it was freezing cold, first of all. Like there's no heat in the place. Like these packages and they just keep coming. It's like you have to play Tetris on your feet with 50-pound packages for 4 straight hours or 6 straight hours or whatever it is. And it's, no, seriously, you're playing freaking Tetris because you have to fill the back of a semi-truck by yourself, and there's just packages that just keep coming. They keep coming, and the thing doesn't stop. There's no way to stop it. Like, the packages just keep coming down the conveyor belt at you. And you have to, like...
Laverne and Shirley? Do you remember that one? Or you remember that? Everybody knows that Laverne and Shirley, where they're trying to... The stuff's coming off the belt, and they're trying to stick all the stuff...
That's exactly what you have to do, but you have these huge packages. So I can tell you, from personal experience, putting fragile on the side of a box does not mean jack shit. Like, the UPS guys are going to be throwing the box because they have to. Like, you don't have time. You don't have time to carefully move the package and put it. Like, you're playing Tetris full speed with these giant packages. And so, if it can be thrown, it will be thrown. Guaranteed. Because you got to get it, you got to keep filling the truck as, tightly as possible. And then the supervisor, comes around and checks. And so, you can't have a mess of boxes because they just keep coming. It's exhausting. It's mentally frustrating. It was terrible. That was the worst job I've ever had.
That's awesome. And you did it for one summer.
No. This was wintertime over Christmas holidays because it was I went home for Christmas break probably, and there's ads in the paper make a lot of extra money for over the holidays, for come work at UPS or FedEx. You could probably do the same job now.
Yeah.
Because they have so many packages that they need extra help packing the trucks. They need more little Tetris bots. And so...
More Tetris bots.
So it was freezing cold. It wasn't summertime. I mean, I lasted maybe 2 weeks, and I was I grew up not being allowed to quit anything. If you start something, you finish it. And I was I'm sorry, I'm done. I can't do this. This is torture. It's freezing cold, and it's just these packages just keep coming. It doesn't. Not my thing. Not my thing.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. So. All right, I got one more for you. Celebrity. Who's your celebrity crush?
I have a bunch of them. I would say Rihanna.
Really?
Really?
I didn't see that one coming.
Yeah, really. I think J-Lo's the most beautiful woman in the world. I've thought that for 15 years, but I don't really like her personality or whatever. Rihanna is just, definitely my top celebrity crush. She's just a bad girl, but she's adorable, and she's super sexy and hot and talented, and a really bad girl. There's something about girls with attitude like that. If a girl can pull that off, I'm attracted to that. So even in movies, movie characters that have that edge where the chick's hot, but she's she can kick your ass too. So there's that little bit of intimidation. I find that very attractive.
Yeah, I married that one.
Oh yeah, nice! Congratulations.
That was one of my attracting features to Brandy.
Yeah, so you understand it.
Yeah, no, I understand completely. Yeah. So yeah, she still can beat my ass. Look over my shoulder. No, I'm joking.
All right, I got one for you.
All right.
If you could have lunch with any person, living or dead, who would it be, and what would you ask them?
If I have a lunch with any person, living or dead, Gandhi.
Gandhi.
Yeah.
What would you ask him? It seems
as though his outlooks on the world were just something that I think radiates throughout time. The way he saw fairness and people seeing each other equally, back to this riverboard and kayaking thing, in its own way, and justice, and not in a unlike everybody trying to go socialist today. He wasn't looking at it that way. He was just no, fair's fair. That's pretty much it. And that was the way, unlike everybody nowadays is we need to be socialist. Everybody take care of each other. Well, then you got half of them that are lazy as shit, don't want to do their part. Then you got the other people that are busting their ass, and then, that's not fair. And the way he had it was fair's fair, and,
fairness, but also love people.
And love fairness, love people. Yeah. And so, what he said radiates throughout time. Yeah.
Interesting.
Now that would be one, and the other one would be Genghis Khan. For you ever
Yeah.
seen the because of the art of war?
Uh-huh.
That was one of the best business books in the world. They make you read that in MBA school. That's one of the first books. At some schools, not all of them, but it's his his tactics, the way he was able to take over, beat back the Romans, which were thought to be the greatest. There's something there that made him more so than just a barbarian.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
I like to.
For
I'd
sure.
like to. I'd like to hear that story. What about you? What would be yours?
I think. Well, wait. I gotta ask you though, because what would you eat for lunch? Like if you had those two guys together, that'd be a fascinating conversation.
That would be a fascinating lunch.
Like, what would you eat? Some kind of yak
eat
milk? Because in Mongolia, like they have.
But that's not vegetarian.
Yeah, see, but Gandhi, yeah, he was. I've been to his house.
Have you really?
Yeah, the house where he stayed in. Well, I guess it's Mumbai. Yeah, last summer when we were there, we went to like his house and we toured around and like we saw like his little room where he meditates and stuff. Like, it was kind of cool.
Is it a big house? A little house? Average.
I mean, it's like
India.
For India, yeah, it was a nice like colonial house, like 3 or 4 stories, and now it's like more like a museum, so you can't really tell. But they've kept a few things kind of in the same way that they were when he was there. Like when he
wow.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess a lot of vegetables. I just eat vegetables. I
can just see Genghis Khan be like, "I want meat."
Yeah, exactly. I'd go, listen, Gandhi, chill out. He'll be fine. Just let it go. We're all fair here. We're all equal. Don't. He'll kill you. He'll kill you. And then I'd go eat lunch. Then after, it's like one of those times you go eat lunch with somebody, and then afterwards you go eat.
Yeah, exactly. We'll eat tofu, and then like afterwards, all right, hey Genghis, afterwards, me and you we'll go get some real food. Exactly. We're down in the barbecue joint.
Yeah, that maybe took a little spike to Gandhi's, vegetables. Watch him fall asleep, and then me and Genghis go crazy. Draw on Gandhi's face, something like that. So, if you could eat with anybody, past, present, or future, who would it be?
Future. Now that future.
Yeah.
See, you threw that in. I'll take that one.
Yeah.
Because the past is there's so many different people it'd be hard. But future, that's really easy. I would want to sit down with the future me.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I can see that one.
And I'm 10 years, 20 years, whatever. It doesn't matter. Just the future me, because I think that would be like super. It could be super traumatic. Be like, whoa, dude, you're a loser. Like, 10 years from now, you're supposed to be awesome. What are you doing? Like, what happened to you? Or, wow, dude, you're awesome. Like, okay, so tell me the mistakes that you made so that I can avoid those mistakes and just do, like, the hard work and the good stuff to, like, make myself awesome.
Yeah.
Like, or what lessons can you impart?
Or it could be you in 10, 15 years, and he made that one bad decision one day, and he came back to tell you, don't make that bad decision.
Yeah.
And you go that route.
Yeah, exactly. Or like maybe like, okay, that girl that you thought like you should leave, like that, no, you really shouldn't, because it turns out that she was like from the richest family in China or something, so you probably should like go on that date. Or the opposite, like, yeah, don't. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it would be fascinating, like, to talk to the me. But see, that, like, that's now you got me thinking about that. Like, what would the 10 years from now me be? What do I want the 10 years from me to be? So I can talk to that person now, because I can say, look, this is how you're going to be in 10 years. This is how we're going to get there. It's inspiring. Thanks, Jay.
You've got a 10-year plan.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I know the kind of person I want to be.
Nice.
Yeah. Interesting. So now I'm gonna go sit down. I'm gonna have a little meditation session. I'm gonna talk to the me from 10 years from now. I'm gonna go do that.
Nice. Yeah. There you go.
Well, you and Gandhi and Genghis Khan are hanging out. I'm gonna go talk to me. Yeah. This isn't gonna do anything to take away from the idea that people think Josh is a narcissist at all. Anybody in history, and Josh is like, I want to talk to myself. Oh dear.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
What can I say?
Hey, but everything is something. It keeps everybody rolling. So no, I'd definitely. I'd like to. Who would I want to talk to in the future if I could talk to anybody? Avily. I want to talk to
Yeah,
my daughter in 20 years.
20
What
years.
she would be like.
Yeah.
So she could tell me, all right, you did this. You shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be it. A little deeper.
Help you with the parenting through
Yeah, help me
the
with the
hard,
parenting.
difficult
Yeah,
years that are
because
about to
yeah,
come.
all I'm trying to do right now is minimize the amount of time she has to spend in counseling. That's what I'm
I
like.
think you're doing very well. She seems like a very even keeled, good head on her shoulders kid. So.
Yeah, but that's what I've considered good parenting to be is the amount of time that they don't have to spend hours in therapy. I'm like, okay, yeah, I know she's probably up to 6 hours now. She's 8, so we're doing good. An hour of therapy a year, a
So
little
yeah,
less.
you want to find out when she's 25, like
Yeah.
how much counseling she's going through, or not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, well, I put a fund away for you.
Perfect.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Oh man. Speaking of counseling, all right, but wow, this has been a long call. This is great. All right. Speaking of counseling, let's do some fears. We haven't
right,
done this at all.
fears.
This will be fun.
All right.
All
All right.
I'm gonna pick 3 for you, and you can pick 3 for me.
All right. Let me finish. Let me do them real quick. Oh, that's a good one for you. I'm even gonna click it so you can see it.
Oh dear.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go.
Oh man, this is gonna be impossible to rank in order.
Bam. Josh, those are your 3. I even stuck it down on there.
Oh, which one? Wait, I don't. All right,
Oh,
you gotta
I
tell it
clicked
to
the
me.
wrong one. This one, and that one. Those are the 3.
All right, so which 3?
All right. So the 3 that I've picked, least to most scary. Give the 3 common fears. All right. Government,
Mm-hmm.
religious nuts, and rejection.
Rejection.
You have to
Well,
list the least scary to the most scary.
all right, least scary would definitely be rejection of those 3. I wouldn't have said that when I was like 15, but the rejection is just something that happens as a part of life. Life's a numbers game. So if you're trying to sell or if you're trying to accomplish something, you're going to hear no a lot on the way to yes. And so if you look at it that way, if you look at it as life being a numbers game, if you want to get one yes, maybe you have to hear no 99 times, but you know that you're, eventually statistically, if you know that you'll get 1%, okay. So I just got to call 100 people, or I got to talk to 100 girls, or I have to do whatever it is that's a numbers game. I'm going to get rejected. I'm going to hear no, but hey, you know what? Make the best of it, and maybe through that process, I can learn how they responded, how they rejected me, based on what I said, and then I can do it better the next time, so that maybe they reject me in a different way or whatever. Maybe they say yes, but no, I look at that as a numbers game, like going for no. Like there's an interesting a lot of sales books about that, like going for no. Like the more no's you get, the closer you are to a yes. You just got to keep going through the no's. So I don't find that so scary now. But government and religious nuts, dude.
I threw the last one in there. I couldn't think of any, but those are good.
Those are equally frightening. I mean,
got to pick one of the one's got to come above the other.
I know, but how? I mean, oh man, I think it's tough to say because government has a monopoly on the use of violent force. Government is the only entity on earth that can legally murder you. Like, for any reason that they decide. So that's pretty frightening. I mean, there's lots of reasons that government's frightening, but that's the basic thing. They have a monopoly on murder and incarceration, and they can take away your freedom or your life on their whim with no repercussions. So that's pretty terrifying. And plus then they pass all these laws, they can do whatever they want. I mean, yeah, governments are terrifying, but Religious nuts, on the other hand, like that's a different kind of scary. I
Yeah.
mean,
So I live in
and
the South. I live in the Southeast United States. Yeah. So we have our amount of religious nuts here.
yeah, I mean, I grew up around religion, so I think as far as a fear though, I mean, because we can rank them in like what's worse, what's less, like which impacts your life less or more. But I think on a scary, hmm,
I think I already got the answer for you based off what you just told me.
I don't know what the answer is because I'm thinking of different places. Like in some places, and I don't want to have to edit this out, so I'm not gonna like pick on any religions right now. But because I think most religions are just stupid anyway, regardless of what it is. But religions that will kill you for not believing the same as them, I'll just say that. Like that's pretty terrifying because there's
Yeah.
no logic whatsoever. It's oh you don't believe it, so off with your head. Like that's just crazy, and there's no you can't discuss things logically with them. But at the same time, like I guess government kind of does the same thing. So you tell me what do you think the answer is because I have them as a tie. They're both terrifying.
It sounds like government's the scariest to you. Religious nuts are second.
Yeah,
Because
probably.
governments will kill you. Religious nuts can just drive you nuts.
Yeah, yeah, and it's really not all religious nuts. It depends on the religion. Like every government has a monopoly on killing you or
Kill.
taking away your life with no repercussions. They can do whatever they want in any country in the world, pretty much. And they use that power and they abuse that power. Whereas religious nuts, there's only like a small percentage of religious nuts, and they're usually fairly isolated that will
I,
kill you or maim you or something. Usually they'll just annoy you.
and more
So
in the Central and Africa's, Ivory Coast, and Central, what do you call it?
the Middle
The
East,
Middle East,
yeah,
and down in certain parts of Indonesia.
yeah, in India, and Pakistan,
Yeah,
Central Asia up in there, yeah.
yeah,
But
larger, larger area than most would think.
yeah, like Jehovah's Witnesses or just crazy religious people in the West usually or I mean even the worst think of the worst people and like worst religious nuts in the US in recent years like the Westboro Baptist people like they were just filled with hate and they would like say anyone who doesn't believe the same as them is going to burn in hell and have all these horrible things happen to them like they were terrible but what was the worst thing that they did they said a lot of really bad things. Like they made signs and they picketed things that they shouldn't have been. Like
Right.
they said horrible things, but they weren't like cutting off
Violent.
anybody's genitals or beheading people for fun. Yeah,
Right.
that's
That's
a little
ISIS.
different.
Yeah,
Not that
that's
it makes
ISIS.
them right, but it just
Yeah, saying
they're
it and doing it though is yeah,
different. Yeah.
extreme.
Yeah. And
So
I guess that's where I draw the thing with religion. Like, okay, if you're religious and you believe that your God is going to sentence me to eternal damnation and hellfire, let your God sort that out. Don't you take it on yourself to send me to the next life.
right.
So, and that's kind
Yeah,
of yeah. That's the
yeah,
difference between like ISIS and Westboro Baptist, I guess. At least Westboro
yeah,
Baptist was letting God sort things out in the end, whereas ISIS was like, we kill you because we must please God.
yeah. And we will take on our own government,
Yeah. Yeah.
which there goes
Religious,
back
there
to
you
play.
go. No, that's it. That's the answer.
That's it.
Religious governments are the scariest.
Yes.
Religious governments are the scariest. Absolutely.
Wow. Yeah. Yep.
That
ISIS is
is for
it's.
sure.
I read that article. That was. Even me and Brandy even talked about it. That's intense.
Yeah, it
So
was really
I got
long, but it was really good. It was interesting, an interesting look
very
at
well written.
the whole thing. Yeah, it was very well written.
Yeah. So yeah, but I've got some buddies that are Muslim. I haven't talked to them yet about it. I want to bring this up to them and see what they think.
No, and that article was. I think that's something that you could give to a person, a friend who is a Muslim, and say, "Hey, what do you think about this?" Because it tried to be neutral enough that it wasn't like these people are evil, kill them all, like they're horrible, just drop nukes on them. But it was, I mean, it was saying, look, this is what they believe, and this is why they're dangerous, because they really believe that fundamentally they're supposed to go kill everyone that's not them.
Yeah.
And talking about like the political aspect of their religion and all of that, like I thought it was a really interesting article, like really informative and terrifying.
Yeah, super terrifying. Yeah, exactly.
All right,
I don't think.
I got some fears for you.
All right,
Let me see.
I'm ready.
Um, where was it? Okay, here we go. Electricity, hydraulics, and family gatherings.
Family gatherings is the most scary. I can just say that right off the bat because you can't. I'll get back to that.
Yeah, go from least to most.
I'll go to the least. Uh, Hydraulics, like hydraulic power, or hydraulics, like getting stuck in a hydraulic.
Like getting stuck in a hydraulic or electricity.
Oh well, shit. That puts it to the top because I've been there, done that. So nice play, Josh.
All right.
So now now I'm keep going. Okay, that was the bottom. No, now that one's at the top. So all right,
You got it right.
let's say electricity's. God, those are three of the more I think about it, I say electricity is the least scary. It's just, I mean, I deal with it for work a lot, but it is just, man, that stuff will kill you like no tomorrow. But the other thing is, if you don't have it, we would be in a whole different, what do they call that? EMPs. You ever heard of that stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
EMP blast, got electricity, everything just would disintegrate quickly into chaos.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a good thing that we have electricity in one way, and it will really hurt you. That's the two things I think of.
But I was thinking because of what you do for work and stuff, like have you ever run across a really sketchy situation where there's like bare wires that you weren't expecting to find, like looking you in the face, and they're like,
oh yeah,
something?
Yeah, I've had a contractor that took a elevator panel, and what had happened was the roof. I had a contractor put a roof on this high-rise complex, and it was for a housing authority, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't put it on correctly, and it leaked down into an elevator. These elevator controllers, and they have one called the master and the member. Right, one controls the other one. That's not really what it's called. It used to be called something different, but master and slave. Now they call it master member. Right. So the master,
no way. They've even made electricity politically correct.
Yeah, they made politically.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, electricity. So they call. I got to be careful how I say it. That's why I say it because I got to. But master slave, master member. The master fried, and they had some handicapped people in the elevator. So I went up to the elevator, and I knew how to, flip the breaker on it. Well, when I went up to touch it, they had whoever had put it in they have a thing called a grounding wire, and it's a green wire. And I'm not going to go deep into that. Well, they had grounded it back to itself, so they had to take the ground wire, so that now the entire cabinet was live with 277 volts running through it.
No
and when I went up to open the door, it threw me up against the wall and literally made the hair on one side of my head stick up the rest of the day. I had literally straight down the middle of my head, the hair stuck up on one side. And I get back to the office, and I was like, I think I'm done for the day. And my boss looks at me and he goes, why is your hair standing up on one side? And then the call came in that when I touched the panel, it took the power out to the building. It tripped the main breaker. Yeah.
Wow. Did your hand turn black? Because I've heard of that happening when people get shot.
I was just the way it hit, and I fell. That my hand, I was able to just by luck of everything, my hand was able to let go of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you're lucky.
And my hand was on it, and when I fell backwards, the door hit my foot, and so it didn't keep coming with me, and the weight of me caused the door to pop loose.
Dude, that's lucky. So, I remember one time in college, this girl grabbed a guitar, and there was like some electrical short on the stage, and like her hand just glued to it. Like she couldn't let go, and it was just shocking her. Like because the electricity was going through the guitar, and like for whatever happened with the electricity, like some cable got twisted with something else, And like for like 30 seconds, like she couldn't get it out. People were like grabbing, like trying to pull it out of her hand, and her hand was just like locked on this guitar.
Oh
So
yeah,
you're lucky that got knocked out of your hand, man.
yeah, it,
That's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah. I was lucky on that one. So,
But the electricity doesn't scare you as much as hydraulics and family gatherings?
no hydraulics. After getting, I know now. I know, and I've been in around it enough. I know I don't get around big panels, the electrical panels. If I see them,
Okay.
I'm going. Nah, I step back and I'll hire somebody else to touch it. I'm not messing with it.
Yeah.
I don't touch that stuff. So is that stuff scary to me? Yeah. Hydraulics, I'd put that one at the top. Family gatherings, second in line.
Okay.
Because yeah, Jesus Christ, just getting the whole family together. And then you add beer to it and nothing. You just it never ends up working out like the way everybody's all excited to see each other. And then it takes about a year. And then you're like, you know what? I really miss that person.
Takes about 6 months to get over what happened, and then the next six
Yeah.
months to kind of work up again to where you want to see them once more.
Yes, exactly. That's a family gathering. That's a family gathering. So,
Nice.
hydraulics, been stuck in one. Been stuck in a few of them, but that one got me. Yeah. 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 That one gave me that one seriously. Although we made it the rest of the river, it was a great day. No worries after that. But that one stuck with me for a little while.
Yeah, I was
Because
worried for you too, man. I'm like
oh, I saw,
video.
yeah.
I'm on the video camera. I'm like, come on, Jay. Come on, Jay. You got it. Come on. Oh shit.
Yeah, that's it. That was it. That was it. I heard that and I went, oh my gosh. It even made me feel worse when I saw it on the video. I was like, and then I saw your face and Alex's face when I pulled up.
Yeah.
You know, when I didn't pull up, when I floated to the side.
Floated over.
Yes. Yeah.
We were worried about you, man. You were in there for like a minute.
Oh yeah. I wasn't. I didn't think I was coming out, and that girl just stared at me. She just stood on the box and stared at me. I was like, I was so mad. I was like, you're gonna watch me drown. That's what it is. I wanted to kill her. I was so mad. Do you remember that?
Well, somebody finally threw you a throwback. Like right as you washed out finally. Like they threw a throwback.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
like
That
one
one.
of the older kayaker guys that was over there or something.
Yeah, I just decided I was gonna just bury it as deep as I could. I was like, I'm not getting out with what I'm doing. So I just dug it in, hopefully that something would happen. I was like, I'm gonna break a wrist. I'm gonna do something, but I can't stay in this any longer. So I tried it. It worked. So we made it out.
So what would your plan be if hydraulics are number one on the list? What would your plan be for the next time you go to the green and running Zwicks? Because that hole is notorious for giving even the best pro kayakers beatdowns.
I can tell you exactly what it is. Quote me. I'm fucking walking that one.
You don't want another shot at it?
No. I would
No?
probably do go left, and I definitely do gorilla next time. I thought I'd get in trouble at home for doing that one. Truthfully, Alex and I were talking. He's like, Brandy will kill you if you do this.
Oh yeah.
Did I tell you this?
Yeah.
Did you hear this?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Brandy's like, why didn't you do that?
Oh.
Oh,
Wait,
did you hear
what?
this part?
I didn't-
Did you not hear that part?
No.
Yeah. Me and Alex were on the rock right before you got in. I was like, I think I'm going to do it. And Alex looks at me and goes, man. And I was like, you think Brandy's going to kill me, don't you? And he goes, I have nothing in the decision here because I don't want her to kill me. And I was like, all right, that's a good point. I'll pass. I think I'll pass. I don't want to get in trouble. So not, you know what I mean? Have her mad at me.
Yeah.
So then I get home and I show her the video of the pictures and she's like, where's yours? I was like, I didn't run it. And she's like, you big puss. Why, are you
No
kidding me?
way.
She's like, why didn't you run that? You were there. She's like, whatever. I was like, I thought you'd be mad. She goes, no, you've done stupider stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, well, maybe that day I had, but no, I don't know. So I was like, all right, next time I'll do it. So, but
you'll nail it. It's super fun.
yeah, but Zwix is not.
You're walking Zwicks, huh?
Yeah, Yeah,
See,
you almost got stuck.
I'm gonna
You
be
almost got
sketched.
stuck.
Yeah, I did.
You almost got stuck. I watched it.
Yeah, I'm gonna be sketched next time because I'm gonna be thinking about what happened to you, and I'm gonna be thinking, okay, how did I run this last time? Because I managed to get through it. It was just like kind of it held my feet, and I was able to kick out. But like, yeah, I could see that you're running wrong. I'm gonna get stuck in that too because you don't have very much speed because you're just coming from like a flat pool basically, and there's a short drop, so you don't get a lot of momentum, and it's obviously a sticky hole. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to look at that a little bit more next time to make sure that I don't repeat what you did.
I do know where to run it now. I've stared at that video enough times. I can
Yeah?
tell you exactly where to hit it, and you'd be fine.
Okay, good.
Oh yeah.
No, but I don't know if I trust you because you might be like, yeah, let's make Josh get stuck.
No.
Josh,
No.
run it to the right. Yeah, run it right into the beefy part.
I will definitely be the safety guy on that river,
Okay.
on that particular rapid.
You'll stand there
without
with a
a doubt.
throwback.
Oh yeah, I'll have the throw bag ready to roll. We'll have tied off to something so I can jump in and help somebody because I know what that feeling's like. But everybody, if I think Charles said it before when he did the whatever home river he had, and he got sucked down that crevasse, that siphon. You push it and you push it and you push it and you always are, and then you get that little smack, steps you back a little bit, because if not, we'd all do something. It's just I heard someone else say it. This activity causes an addictive personality. We got addictive personalities. We all do that do these activities because you start to lose that feeling.
Yep.
Like you start on a class 1, 2 tubing, and you're like, oh my gosh. Next thing you're doing the upper golly and going, all right, I need something. The next thing you're doing it, drinking beer, and the next thing you're doing the green, and then you're thinking of the next, the bigger ones, and you need to get smacked in the head every once in a while. You're lucky to get smacked in the head.
Yeah.
And get stepped back.
No, and it does wake you up, and sometimes we all need that. I think just to keep from. I think if everything goes perfect every time, then eventually you get to the point where you're overconfident, and then something's going to go terribly wrong because you've never known what it's like. I mean, like I visualized after getting beat down. I spent a lot of time like visualizing different situations, and it actually helped when I did get stuck in an undercut on the Cal Salmon when I was with Peter and Kevin. And I mean, that was a freaky situation, but somehow because I'd visualized that exact situation. It's the end of the class 5 on the Cal Salmon. And there's like it drops through a series of holes. You've probably seen the pictures of me and Peter and Kevin. There's like huge holes that you kind of got to thread your way through. And then there's a rock wall at the bottom on the right, and the river it bends to the left, and then it drops off into the little, like, it's just a little slide thing, and then you're done. It's just flat water. But where everything piles into this rock wall at the bottom, it's really easy to avoid, but because we were kind of going next to each other, like, I got bumped off and bumped right into this, like, where the whole whirlpool was kind of pushing underneath the wall. And you never heard this story? No, see, this wasn't the scariest. Like, I wasn't as scared as I was like a couple of years before when I was in the waterfall, but it was probably more serious, a lot more serious, because I got pushed underwater and up against the wall, like in the undercut. So, and there's, a lot of force going through there, and so I held onto the board and tried to let the board like bring me up, but the board was like somehow, because it was the foam board, it stayed on the top, but I was like pushed up against the wall. And so just from visualizing and like all of the thinking about bad situations that I had done since the scary incident, like in the previous, I guess it would have been 2 years before that, or no, year and a half, I don't know, I don't remember exactly how long it was, but I'd spent a lot of time thinking about those situations. And so just it came to me like to flip around, like to turn around, face the wall, because I was like pushed up against it like backwards. So I was able to turn around underwater, face the wall, and like push off with my feet, and then start like using my hands to propel me like up. And I was able to go, because the current was kind of like, it's like an eddy underwater, underneath this ledge. and it pushed me up, and like the board floated down while I was still in there, and so Peter and Kevin were freaking out, and then I was able to get up. But if you watch the video that somebody shot from the other side of the river from up above, like you see like the guys that were like the spectators, they see that I go in there, and like the rest of you guys like start running over there because they see that I'm like I didn't come out. So
how long were you in there?
It wasn't a long time. Like I honestly don't remember because it was just I was fighting. I ended up letting go of the board because I couldn't hang on to it. It was above the water, and I was underwater under the ledge. So the ledge kind of like pushed the board off out of my hand, and then like I flipped around and kicked off and just kept kicking off and hand paddling until I was able to like get into the current that was going upstream out of the little cave thing, and it popped me out.
Wow.
So yeah, since then like I'm much more cognizant, I guess, of undercuts. Not because like that didn't impact me. I was messed up for like 6 months after the waterfall thing in New Zealand, but after this one, it was like the next day we ran some more class 5, but it made me more cognizant of wow, you can get caught in like the most innocent looking little undercut, and water is obviously very powerful, and it's hard to get out of that situation.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So, we all know it.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the difference between somebody that knows what they're doing, somebody that doesn't, is the person that's been or seen or been involved in that incident.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. But the visualizing really helps, and visualizing.
Oh yeah, they say that in sports too.
Yeah.
They say that in sports to visualize it. It makes a big difference for all athletes.
Because it helps you be more calm in the situation. It's like, okay, I'm underwater, just stay calm, keep your breath, like just figure out a way out of the situation.
Oh yeah, I mean, I did it at Zwix. I was holding on to the board and trying to figure out what to do.
You were awesome. See, that was the difference. What you did in Zwix and like what we were doing in New Zealand was totally opposite. Like we were freaking out because it was the first time anything like that had ever happened, and we just didn't really. We're like even if you were making funny noises.
If I would have done that, that would have been it.
Yeah. Yeah, because you wouldn't have been able to breathe, and you would have been still stuck in the hole. Yeah. But you
and there
were
was
so
nobody
calm.
to come get me.
No, because we were on the other side of the river downstream, and like the throwback didn't come for a minute. But you I was really impressed, and I think on the video that's why I'm like cheering for you because I'm like, oh yeah, he's surfing it like a champ. I mean, you did it over and over and over and over and over, which is
Brandy was watching it. Brandy saw it, and she didn't think anything about it. And I'm like, because it looked like, I mean, I know, it looks like I know what I'm trying to do. It looks like I'm doing tricks.
Yeah.
That's not a trick.
That's survival.
That was survival. That was the board, me trying to dig the board in and catch it like a parachute and spinning me around out of there.
Yeah.
But no, it wasn't, it looked better than the way, to me, it felt.
Yeah. No, and it's exhausting too. Especially because you were fighting to get out. Like you weren't trying to just enjoy a nice little surf in there. You were trying to get out. And
then we had what 4 more class 5s or all that stuff to go. That was still so much fun. I'd do it again. Yeah. I don't care.
No, that's mental. That's mental toughness though. Like for sure.
Cannonball! Lost. My dog came in and sat on my Wi-Fi and I lost it. So now that's it. Damn
your dog's
dog.
Like, no more.
Yeah, she came in at the end of the day. I'm sitting here typing emails for work on this computer, and she comes in and sits down on the router, and I lost all email. And I was like, well, I guess I'm done for the day, which I was cool. I was like, it was 5 o'clock. I was like, wow, man, the damn dog's watching the clock for me. This is cool.
Nice. She was watching the clock. I'm glad she didn't come back in. We had a rough start apparently because she came in like 4 minutes after we started, but she hasn't been back, so I guess that's a good sign.
No, she's out cold somewhere right now. I better go check on her.
Hopefully not out in the cold.
Yeah, no, she's in the house. In the house. So, all right, brother. Well, I'll talk to you here in the next day or so.
All right, man. Sounds good.
All right. See you,
Take
Josh.
care. Bye-bye.
All right, bye.